Oh, hey, I've been on kind of a roll with mushrooms lately, and here in the Pacific Northwest, it's chanterelle season. Fall and the rains bring in this precious fungus, and for those of you who are not up for hiking in the forest and in the rain, Whole Food stores make these fungi available in the fresh produce section. So I'm feeling truly blessed. This episode is all on spleen deficiency in Chinese medicine and what you can do to help repair your spleen deficiency now. Yes, you can repair spleen deficiency. Hi, this is Kim from Best Acupuncture. I'm a practicing and licensed Chinese medical provider focused on making Chinese medicine more accessible and helping you to help yourself so you can help the world. And if you're new here to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future episodes. Mushrooms. You know, there are 4 themes with mushrooms. The lungs are a theme in mushrooms, so healing and strengthening the lungs. Another theme is cancer support. There's a lot of research showing mushrooms can help slow down the growth of cancer cells, and especially in lung cancers. A third theme, repairing and boosting your immune system. And the 4th theme is increasing your longevity. Hey, if you're looking to take my Chinese dietetics class, you'll find out that the golden color of the chanterelle mushroom can identify foods that help support the spleen. And you'll also find out a whole lot more. You can find out the latest information on when the class will be available on my website, best-acupuncture.com. Okay, so why is the spleen important? If you're suffering from fatigue, poor appetite, nausea, anxiety, overthinking, inability to sleep, weight gain, gas, bloating, food sensitivities, all of these can be signs that you've been overworking yourself and exhausting the energy of your spleen. So remember when you were a kid and you ate breakfast and then you went out and played, and by lunchtime you were starving. You were starving because you used up all the calories you ate in the morning. And the calories created this limited supply of energy. You used that supply of energy. Now you needed more. So you eat lunch and you get more energy. Well, there's a second type of energy, and that's going to be the energy stored in your body. So, sometimes you don't need to use all the nutrition you've eaten. So that nutrition gets stored in the body and it can aid in rebuilding your body. You also came into this world with this huge cache of energy. And that's the energy that allowed you to grow from this 1-foot baby to this huge adult. So you have this energy store, and food can help you restore what you use from that store. Yet, your lifestyle usually uses more energy and nutrition than can be replaced. So here's a couple lifestyle examples that you might be able to relate to. So Dr. Hans Sell found that stress pulls calcium out of the bones and moves it to the blood. So why does it do that? Well, when you're under stress, your muscles need calcium for that twitch reflex required for the flight or fight response. When you think you might need to defend yourself or save yourself. Okay, so chronic low-level stress pulls calcium from the bones, and that can support osteoporosis, which is the loss of calcium in the bones. Guess what? Foods you eat can do the same thing. There's a lot of phosphorus in sodas, so too much phosphorus leaches calcium out of the bones. So if you're drinking sodas, you're pulling calcium out of your bones. And that comes down to all your decisions, all your experiences have an impact on your health, and that can cause aging and disease. And it doesn't just stop there, right? Because each step is a setup for the next step. So, calcium, you're too low on calcium, you're going to find that you're irritable, you're moody, you're pissy, or you're anxious. And so then as that progresses, Calcium is one of the key ways that you avoid diabetes. So if your body gets too depleted of calcium, that's going to be one of the key minerals that you're going to need to avoid diabetes. So it just keeps on progressing and progressing. So now you kind of get that disease doesn't happen with the big things like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, kidney disease. Disease doesn't start there. Disease begins with the little things like that Coke, or like you can't get going in the morning unless you have coffee, or you're so tired, or you're gaining weight, or you're experiencing acid reflux, arthritis, ringing in your ears. Disease starts there. And in Western medicine, these symptoms are non-specific. They can't identify a disease. In Chinese medicine, these symptoms identify which areas of your body is weak. So where you've been pulling out too much of your stored energy. And when a spot is weak or needs more support, Chinese medicine is going to call that a deficiency. So knowing your deficiencies means if you want to change, you can. And one of the ways you can do that is with food. So those non-specific symptoms I mentioned earlier, fatigue, poor appetite, nausea, anxiety, overthinking, difficulty concentrating, inability to sleep, weight gain, gas, bloating, food sensitivities, they fall under using too much of the spleen's energy. And here's the thing, you don't have to have them all. Usually bloating and gas are going to be the first ones to appear. And then fatigue follows, and then the others fall into place based on how you use your body. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're in school, you're going to be studying a lot. So you're going to be thinking. And as you overtax your brain, and especially you notice this during finals, you might find it hard to turn off your brain, and you might find it really difficult to try and remember things. It's like you just stored too much in there and you can't figure it out anymore. Another thing is maybe you have this really tough job that leads to high stress. And so instead of having the overthinking problem, you're starting to feel stress, anxiety, and that starts progressing and you start having difficulty sleeping. And now you have the overthinking from a totally different perspective where, again, you can't turn off your brain because you're always worried about what's going to happen next, what shoe's going to drop next. And here's one more, that's going to be childbirth. And so think about that. How much of your resources did you have to give away to create another life? And after you do that the second time, you are just exhausted. And I know all you women out there who've had multiple kids, you know this. You are so fatigued. And no one ever suggests to you that you actually have to replace those nutrients that you gave up. And if you don't, you are going to be chronically fatigued forever. So life is the flavor of your experiences mapped on your body. Okay, so now you know, past the age of 10, pretty much everyone has spleen deficiency. And it's not going to be just your daily decisions that are going to weaken your spleen. There's things happening in the food supply chain and the environment that will exhaust the energy of the spleen. And if you're curious about the food supply chain, check out the food labeling episodes here. So take a walk with me through the grocery store and let's pick out some foods that will support the spleen. Now, when I think of meals, I think of a main dish, a side, and a side. So 3 things. And I do concepts where you have an idea and that idea lets you substitute in different things based on what you're trying to accomplish in your health and, of course, what's on sale. So having the flexibility to know which foods that are on sale that will get you to where you want to go helps with your health, helps with the costs, and helps with inflation. Today, for me, the concept is spaghetti. The base of the meal is spaghetti. I need pasta, right? And there's a number of ways you can make pasta. The three I'm going to touch on all support the spleen. Now, I didn't want to use pasta because too many carbs for me. Now, that isn't true for everybody. Some people do great with pasta. For me, it was a no. So I did a pass on that and moved to the vegetable aisle. There are a couple options here that would support the spleen. Spaghetti squash is great at helping support and rebuild your spleen. There was another option that I could have used, and that was zucchini. And here's the deal. I knew I probably should have chosen zucchini in my heart of hearts because zucchini will help eliminate phlegm in the body. And if you're like me, dealing with that impossible to lose weight, foods that help you eliminate phlegm are a winner. But today, I don't want that light flavor, so I'm going to stay with spaghetti squash. So 3 things again. We've got the spaghetti. Now the sauce, I'm going to say that's another side, and that's where I'm going to use my new chanterelle mushrooms. I started out this episode talking about mushrooms, so let me tell you why they're a great pick for spleen deficiency. Well, severe bloating blocks the movement of your diaphragm, and your lungs need your diaphragm to breathe. And the less oxygen, the more fatigue. I'm no stranger to a diaphragm that can't move. In the episode 3 Steps to Improve Your Meditation, Part 1, Breath, I go over some of the exercises that I use to help open up my diaphragm again. So, spleen deficiency, it impacts the lungs. Reducing your bloating and strengthening your spleen and your lungs will help reduce your fatigue. And you can't get a much better pick than mushrooms, because not only do mushrooms improve your lungs, but they improve your overall health. They help rebuild you again. So they are helping your spleen and your whole body. So I added in garlic because garlic is lifting and it helps move energy in your body. So if you've been feeling like a slug, garlic helps get that moving. Now, I wanted to use one thing that you might not have thought about when making a healthy meal, and that's butter. And for some people, they're going to say, butter? No way. And that's the difference in Chinese nutrition. Everybody's welcome. You just have to be aware of how it works for you. Now, if butter doesn't work with you, it's another one you can replace with a lot of different things. You can replace it with water, olive oil, coconut oil. Do what's right for you. If you can do butter, butter is sweet in Chinese medicine, which means it is building your blood and qi. And that means it's putting nutrients into your body that you might need. I think part of the nutrients in butter that some people might need is the butyric acid, which that's a short chain fatty acid. And what it does is it helps reduce inflammation in the digestive tract. And you know what else it has? It has conjugated linoleic acid. So, the research on that has shown that it may help protect against cancer, but it also aids in weight loss. You know what I found is when I eat butter in moderation, so I'm not treating it like it's its own separate food group. If I do that, if I use it in moderation, it does help with my weight loss. And here's the other thing that I found so far. The only butter produced here in the US that I can eat without causing severe abdominal pain is that Amish butter. Otherwise, I have to use butter from Europe. Who knew? Okay, so one last thing. For me, I need proteins. And you know how I was talking about that you wanted to be flexible enough that you could capture the sales? Well, guess what? The grocery store had organic chicken legs on sale. So I'm going to bake them and I'm going to season them with salt, pepper, and toasted sesame seed oil. Where you first saw sesame seed oil was in the episode Secret Everyday Recipes from History. Now, those were the recipes from that hermit who lived around 1200 AD, and he used sesame seed oil. Well, sesame seed oil moistens the intestines, and it's excellent for constipation. Now, here's another thing. You can switch out the chicken. You can switch out chicken for something like tofu, or if you're not gluten intolerant, seitan with chickpeas. And Satan is a gluten meat substitute, so don't do it if you're gluten intolerant. Anyways, all 3 of these support the spleen and they help eliminate phlegm. Okay, so there's the rundown on the foods, okay? And I like an easy world, so I baked the spaghetti squash. I had to bake it for an hour and a half at 350 degrees. And about an hour into the baking, I seasoned and put the chicken in the oven. And while those were baking, I sauteed up the mushrooms in butter with garlic. When the squash was finished baking, I was able to mix the squash with the mushrooms and finish cooking the spaghetti on the stove. So everything ended up done at the same time. Easy, healthy, and keeping me on the right track. Okay, until next time, I'll catch you on the other side.